Welcome to Not Entirely Unlike Tea with Christine Collins. Well, hello there. This is Christine Collins, and I'm very pleased to meet you. A lot of times during a trailer like this, the podcaster will provide you with a story about how they got started, where they are now, why they are now. And I find this task, transparently, very hard. At first, I thought it was just because I didn't know how to condense down my eclectic experiences into a cohesive story that points you perfectly and succinctly into a lovely little culmination that will help you to understand everything about my work and what this podcast will be. And that was part of it. But then I realized something else that was even more important. Not only do we change and evolve over time, but the past does too. It changes with us as our perspective changes, as our wisdom deepens. And I know that my story, even the things that have occurred already, will continue to change. And also that the things that I could tell you about myself are a lot less important than the things that you'll observe of me as we go forward together on this little podcast journey. And I've just never been a huge fan of trying to encapsulate ourselves into a 30-second elevator pitch, nor does it truly give you any real insight into me. However, I'm also a people pleaser, and I'm working on that, but I don't like to let you down. So I'll try to tell you some of the little bits and bobs that will be relevant to this podcast and hopefully our creative journey together. What I mostly get up to these days is helping other entrepreneurs, often with a focus on solopreneurs. That's those of us who do just about everything ourselves in the realm of mindset and messaging, using lots of different tools. It's a very eclectic blend. But the ones that you'll probably recognize the most are hypnosis, EFT, yoga nidra, Reiki, and also a focus on client-centered, desire-focused messaging. But I want to reassure you that as you may be, much like myself, a very creative, imaginative, curious, inquisitive, introspective, intuitive person, my bet is that you won't nearly be satisfied by only those topics. And so I endeavor to share about those things and also to bring forward some other pieces of my own eclectic perspective that may include various different things from time to time around creativity, my very strong background in psychology. I have a master's in psychology as well as undergraduate work, my deeply curious and philosophical nature. And one of the things that I think I can promise with a fair amount of confidence is that while I will occasionally offer suggestions, ideas, insights, tips, and things that may be useful for you, I do approach most things with a question rather than an answer. I make efforts against hubris, and I don't pretend to know everything, and much like you, I'm a lifelong learner. So we may talk about mindset, we may talk about being in a flow state, we may talk about being a creator and what that looks like. We may talk about how we want to show up in the world or in a business in a client-centered way that feels aligned, ethical, healthy. But I will most likely also be throwing in some random topics that I hope that you'll find just as fascinating and interesting as we go, perhaps some occasional art or poetry. And being that I'm a rather creative person myself, I can't fully show you the path until we start to walk on it. So I look forward to taking this journey together, and I do hope that you'll stay for just a little while for tea. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.